welcome back. So I know it's been a couple months. I had intended to only take a couple weeks off as I started a new job, which I love, but I work with a very medically fragile population and my daughter started daycare, and so the whole family has been sick with a new virus pretty much each week since August. So it's been a little bit trying, but thank you for your patience. And I'm so happy that this past week I've been able to really start diving back into The Sims. One more little update. So we're going to put a pause on the vignettes at the beginning of each episode. They're just a little labor intensive and I have pretty limited time right now. So hopefully we can phase them back in the future when my free time is a little bit more plentiful. Welcome back to the Price household. We are ending with, we are ending a rotation, which is not the ideal point to, take a hiatus on, but we're going to move past that. We haven't really had an update to this house in a very long time. Julian is the heir and current master of the house, and it is not going well. So as a lot of you may remember, Julian has the grumpy trait, which means he can't keep a job. So we haven't really had a steady source of income for a very long time in this house, and it is starting to kind of show. I mean, it's a nice house, but we do have a lot of kind of unfinished spaces in it, and it's just sort of, I think, outlived itself. It's not super functional. The party area is on the third floor, which, although historically accurate, in The Sims is really, really annoying because when we have events, people just get crowded on the stairs. The kiddos are absolutely adorable, though, in this household. Like, they've got these holloway eyes. These two, I was convinced they were going to be done trying for a baby because, they're sort of like at the 2/3 point of their adulthood, but then they keep autonomously woohooing, and Marion ends up with some morning sickness. So that's unfortunately something we're going to have to deal with. We have 3 boys, and I do feel like Marion probably wants a little girl just because, that's something she's always wanted. And imagine how cute a little girl would be in this household. I mean, we've also always had a lot of girls in this house just because of the way the prices are. And they actually have a pretty good marriage, which I think is shocking. Like, I genuinely don't understand how Julian can have a good marriage to anyone. And he's actually putting on a pretty good role model for his kids, shockingly enough. Although that didn't really help with their traits, because their traits are all just awful. So a main theme of this episode is really going to be a bit of a grind. We are working on buying a new house for them. That is kind of my first priority, my biggest goal for the prices. And so we're focusing a little bit on our mine just to kind of grind and get up into the latter tiers of the grants. So because the prices are technically upper class, they do actually have access to all of those grants. So we're letting them essentially build new businesses, have different members of the family be the owner, and each one of those can just go up through the grants. And that's really how we are going to get a significant portion of our money. We have a little bit of a party in the household. I'm hoping it's one of the last in this house because it's driving me crazy. But we've got Cecil, and we have Lilith and Leonora. So Teresa's actually here as well, which is kind of surprising. But Teresa does actually come to a lot of the family events, whether you think she would or not. So it's nice that she actually does. But I kind of made the drawing room and the back parlor a little bit more functional. And so we actually do see at the parties people hanging out downstairs more than upstairs, which just, I think, really goes to show how dysfunctional this entire house is. But nonetheless, everyone is actually having a decent time. I know it says it's a snoozer right now, but it does get better. And with everyone dancing to celebrate Raphael's birthday. So Raphael is our heir. We can call him Rafi. He's adorable. I just love all of these kids so much. But Raphael has a very chaotic amalgamation of traits, and I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with him as a teenager. I feel like he's going to be a bit of a nightmare, as are all of the boys in this household, Wentworth and Grant. I'm just not optimistic that they're not going to get into some trouble. And they're a price. Like, their grandfather is Marcus and their father is Julian. So it's just kind of par for the course. So here Raphael ages up, and it's time that we get to, consider his aspiration. And I am really feeling knowledge for him, just because of those turn-ons. Like, he's really attracted to like high level skills, and I just found that really interesting. So Raphael is a proper little knowledge sim. He gives me kind of like charismatic knowledge sim though, or like, I don't know, maybe he's more egotistical, just because his traits are really bad. Like, I think he has the unstable trait, so maybe we play up a little bit of an ego with him. I don't know. You'll have to let me know what kind of vibes you get from him. He's not really a focus of this episode. This episode is really more, I think, about his father. We'll get to focus on that a little bit more later. Marion is still doing pretty well in her pregnancy. We're getting pretty close towards the end of it at this point. And so instead of sending her to the mines and the little shop there to be the cash register, to man the cash register, we actually take Raphael to do that. And so look, it's Rosetta. I love Rosetta. Hi, Rosetta. Oh, those two would actually be really cute together. So we continue to make a lot of progress. We've now got 35,000 simoleons, which is significantly better than like the 2,000 we started off today's episode with. And so we actually end up all the way to the top. So the way we were able to make this happen, I believe, is that Julian is the owner. So look at that. We're almost at 100,000 just from this measly little shack of a store. It feels so cheaty, like so ridiculously cheaty, but they're the upper class. They're allowed to cheat. That's one of the benefits. So that's kind of why I don't let the grants be part of the social capital in the lower classes and the middle classes. I think I actually unlocked like one or two of the grants for the middle class, but then the upper ones are locked and only able to use as the upper class, not the middle class. But I don't want too much social mobility, but you have a lot of things that you have to afford in an upper class scenario. You're supposed to have 40,000 simoleons as a dowry or inheritance to maintain that status. And so I think you kind of need to actually play around with those really big grants. Otherwise, it's just going to be really hard to make ends meet. And making ends meet have been an issue for the prices recently. Unfortunately, a lot of the pressure to kind of constantly be building up this new business and trying to maintain social acumen is starting to get to Marion. She is an Avery, so she's not unaccustomed to public eye, but being a Price comes with a little bit different of a perspective, especially when you're married to a very turbulent Price who's not exactly doing the best job maintaining public face. And, Julian hasn't exactly done anything outrageous yet, but he is known around town for being pretty crotchety and pretty mean. And eventually that may bite him in the butt. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens, and hopefully Marion can recover. Raphael spends a lot of his free time when he's not slaving away at the shop by skilling and working on those skills, because Raphael really wants to go to university. That is a big goal of his. He wants to go to Cambridge. I haven't decided quite yet what he wants to do when he gets there, what major he wants to have, what career he wants to have. But realistically, he needs a pretty good career so that he can actually provide for the family that he's one day going to have, hopefully. They actually have a lot of really nice little domestic moments in this household. They always eat their meals together, and part of that is because we do have a maid who has really helped out significantly. Honestly, I think they could use more than one maid, but we're not going to completely restructure our domestic service class in this house. We're going to wait and get a couple more domestic servants when we move into the new house. But I'm also looking forward to that because some of the chairs in this room aren't actually functional because of where the doors are placed. Poor Marion, she's really having a tough time. I will also say that I was playing this household a few months after I had taken a break, and I kind of forgot how hard it is to take care of pregnant Sims. Or maybe I just got worse and wasn't focusing well enough. So unfortunately, Marion loses the baby, and she is not taking this well. I mean, when we think about it, Marion already had some pretty bad anxiety, depression, something going on. And so that, coupled with the fact that she had a miscarriage, is really the icing on the cake for her. However, Julian is completely non-phased. I think growing up in the Prices, like, he's not even that accustomed to tragedy. Like, the earlier Prices, yes, but like Marcus era Prices, not really. Like, he didn't have a lot of siblings die. The fire was before Julian was born, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. Also, these two just having a proper woohoo right next to the maid. Oh my gosh. I don't know what to do with them. How is this maid not quit? I genuinely don't know, because we were going through maids left and right for a while. And so it's actually time to buy a new property, to robber baron it up and make some more money. So I decide we're gonna sell chairs. That's gonna be our next one, just because I wasn't in the mood. Like, these are just cheap, fast fashion businesses. They are not supposed to stabilize the new Whitby economy. They're not supposed to create depth of social character. They're literally just there to make a quick buck for the Prices. So that's why I'm not worrying about having a chain of supply. So we have a cute little building. It's literally just filled with chairs, though. I mean, could I have tried a little harder? Yes. But that's just not the spirit of what we're doing here with Julian. So Julian has unlocked Dazzle. He is pretty good at what he does now. Marion is still staying at home. She's really having a hard time recovering from this miscarriage. She's exhausted emotionally and physically, and really just not having a good time. Unfortunately, this means she's also kind of neglecting her sons. So Wentworth and Grant, I think it's Wentworth on the left and Grant Wentworth on the right and Grant on the left. They are kind of, doing their own stuff. Like, kind of, they need a governess or something, because they're literally just running wild. So I think that Wentworth maybe kind of gives me, like, I don't know, romance? I had a hard time picking for him, just because I feel like I haven't gotten to know him very well yet, but just based on his characteristics, I'm thinking romance sim for him. And then Grant just kind of gives me like proper pleasure sim vibes. So I'm really just kind of setting myself up for failure because this is going to be pretty miserable. You guys know I hate pleasure sims. I mean, they're just so hard to keep happy. But I think the boys turn out really cute. They are going to be great, eligible little gentlemen, except for their character traits. But here's Grant. I think Grant is gorgeous. I mean, that hair, the eyes, all of it, just chef's kiss. I mean, beautiful specimens. And so I think it's hilarious that we still have this portrait of Leonora in the house. Like, she moved out so long ago, but we don't have any other portraits of the Sims in this family. Like, in the house, it's just Leonora. So I should probably fix that and have Cedric come over and do some painting at some point. But I believe that Raphael has the inappropriate trait. And so he ends up in pajamas at random point of the day and undergarments, like when he shouldn't be. And Julian has food poisoning. Just love it. I everything is going so well. So food poisoning or not, Julian still goes to work. And it's a good thing because we do end up with the business reviewer. So we actually get a really positive review, and he kind of like hits on Raphael, which was really, really weird. Like, I have no idea why that happened. I've never seen that happen with a reviewer before. I was just super confused. But they get the best of the best award anyway, and it turns out to be a little bit more than we actually bargained for, because we end up with so many Sims just trying to make ends meet, just trying to afford these $1,500 chairs and this giant line. I mean, Julian can barely keep things in stock. It's that many people. Like, it's absolute chaos. But I'm kind of optimistic that today we might actually be able to get all 10 of those stars. I don't know. I mean, that may be a little bit wild, but I think we can do it. And we do have some fairly wealthy Sims here, which is really good. We've got Annalise Harvey. She can definitely afford some of these expensive chairs. I mean, listen, folks, the cheapest chair that we sell is 1,100 simoleons. These chairs are like end of the category chairs. And it's going really well, as you can see. We're almost at 115,000 simoleons. So that's really amazing. I'm really optimistic that we're only going to need maybe one or two more cheap fast fashion businesses before we can buy the new house, which I'm in the process of building, and I'll show you a little sneak peek. A lot of you have probably seen some pictures of it before, but I'll give you a little tour of what we have at the end of the episode, just if you're not on Tumblr. So in an attempt to try and contribute a little bit more to the household, Marion actually decides to start writing novels. And honestly, I wish Marion would help out around the house, because one maid for a 3-story estate, it's just not cutting it. We have laundry everywhere. Unfortunately, Marion is so engrossed in the stuff that she is transferring all of her feelings to that she's kind of ignoring her kids again. I mean, these kids are really raising themselves. Like, it's pretty bad. When Julian's home, he's so tired from dazzling at work all day that he just sleeps until dinner time. So the kids aren't getting any attention except during meals. It's very proper Victorian, like, you don't see your kids until the nanny presents them to you at dinner time, except there's no nanny. They're just feral. And I think feral is actually probably a pretty good term for the price brood at this point. But I don't know, maybe they'll turn out okay. Like, we'll see. Crazier things have happened in this season or in this series at all. So it's late at night, and I decide to send my little pleasure and romance Sims out to have a little fun at the local pub. The only girl that I end up finding there is Corinne, and she's the only teen. I don't even know why Corinne is here, honestly. And so I let Wentworth chat with her a little bit, thinking maybe we can get like a little kiss out of it or something, because he is a romance sim and he really has a hankering for his first kiss. But she ends up leaving pretty quickly. And so unfortunately, like, we have to kind of figure out plan B. The place is very much like a boys club. Like, it's a lot of gentlemen and not a lot of women, as you can see. I mean, we've got Hiram and Cedric. We do have this girl named Rose Day, and she is an adult. So it's a little like not the best match, but I'm not looking for like a proper match. I'm just looking for a little romp for Wentworth. And so I'm kind of thinking that Rose may be a good one for that. I give her a little makeover. I give her this cute mushroom dress that I made. And like, they actually kind of hit it off pretty well. Although the low lighting in here doesn't look very great with her skin, but listen, it's a work in progress. I've been slowly replacing all of the really old, like, dark skin tones that don't look great, but I think hers is actually a fairly new one that we've replaced recently. But things go pretty well between them. It takes a long time before I remember that I have like the casual options to have them have their first kiss. Like, I should have done that right off the bat, but you live and you learn, right? You live and you learn. And so they get back home, it's like 4 or 5 a.m. and poor Raphael was already up reading, because that's the only time he has to really work on skilling. Because the second he wakes up, his dad keeps him home from school and brings him straight to the shop. Raphael is actually the owner of Julian's chairs, because we can't get the grant money from multiple different businesses if it has the same owner. So yeah, little cheaty. I feel a little gross at this point, because we sell 5 chairs to Alexander Clark. 5 $1,500 chairs to a Clark. Like, that's just mean. I feel awful. Like, the gravity of what I'm doing, like, I'm bankrupting all of New Whitby to basically just have Julian make a ton of money. It makes me feel less bad, because at least I can kind of sell them for the most part when I get back into their houses and check their inventories, but like, there's still some money there that we're just gonna lose and never get back. So we finally reached the 5th tier and we have 156,000 simoleons. So I still think we could do better, but here is the house that we are saving up to buy. It is the most elaborate landscaping ruse that I have ever created. I mean, I probably should test run this house before I actually move the prices in, to make sure it is literally functional and not just going to be a pink soup disaster. I mean, I'm hoping it's a little bit of both, because I can handle a little bit of both, but I'm honestly obsessed with it. Like, I'm not even done. I'm not even close to done. I'm mostly done with the landscaping. I have a hedge maze that I need to add back in, just because it crashed and I lost the hedge maze, but I have pictures of it. Hopefully it won't be too hard to create, but we've got like a bunch of little like vignette you like areas that will be great for proposals, engagements, romantic moments, like touching moments. You know, you guys know how I am with that kind of stuff. You can also see the remnants of my video I made entirely on the best roses in the game, which was probably a little unhinged, but you know how I am. So I'm thinking this house is going to be really great for hosting, and we know that the prices really do like to host a lot. I absolutely love this little spot with the wisteria and the picnic basket. I love it. I mean, this whole lot has really been a labor of love for me, as I just kind of put my all into it, and I'm having a lot of fun. You can see I have a lot of random things sitting out on the front. That's because when I find stuff that I want to use later and don't want to forget about, I just add it somewhere in the building or on the lot and come back to it later. And I think that's been a really effective way for me to, you know, find places for things. This is the drawing room. I love it. I really love this room. Like, it's one of my favorite rooms. It's also got this little like spot for performances, because that is a big part of the kind of like Regency and Victorian ball and event culture. Here we have the dining room, which I really love as well. And I haven't finished the kitchen yet, but this is kind of the base of the kitchen. And we've got most of the first floor, but not all of the first floor done. So we've just got some little spaces over here. This is going to be the grand ballroom where we're going to host big balls and parties. And I haven't finished that yet. I'm kind of putting it off because I know it's going to be a big pain to build. But here's also the little study. I just loved the like pink and red vibes for it, and hopefully Marion will write some novels here. So that is where we are going to end off today's episode. Thank you so much for sticking with me through some of the hiatuses as my priorities shift and things change in my real life. So I'll see you next time. Bye.